Hello students, today we are going to do Tempest Act 1 Scene 2, the part 2 of the lecture. Part 1, those who haven't seen, I'll give a link on the I button at the top of the video. So in the last lecture, I should give you a brief about it. In that we had studied that Prospero and Miranda were standing in front of their cell in which Prospero and Miranda were having conversation with each other. Miranda was very sad to see the people being shipwrecked in front of her eyes when she saw that the ship in which the royal passengers were traveling had been wrecked in the sea. And she asked her father to just mitigate the, you can say, the strength of the storm. But then Prospero assures her that nothing wrong has been done to the passengers. All of them are safe and they have landed to some part of the island. Then he tells her the reality that he was the actual Duke of Milan and how his brother Antonio had done a treacherous act in order to throw him and Miranda out of the kingdom of Milan. He had joined hands with the king of Naples, Alonso, and he had promised him that if Alonso helps him to overthrow his brother out of the kingdom of Milan, he will be paying him annual tribute. Listening to this, Miranda was quite sad and she started shedding tears as she was just visualizing all that had happened to both of them, because both of them were thrown into a very much, you can say, a boat which was in a very bad condition, which was abandoned by the rats. But they were helped by Gonzalo, the counselor of King Alonso, who helped them with food and fresh water, and he gave them some garments to wear and also some necessities which were important for them, along with the books of magic which Prospero valued a lot. And then after that, he orders Ariel. He first of all asked Ariel how he had created the tempest, and Ariel described him how he had created flames in the ship and how everybody was very much afraid by the storm that Ariel had created, that all of them plunged into the sea. The first one among them was Ferdinand, who plunged into the sea and said that hell has become empty and all the devils have reached the earth. And then Prospero, then Ariel asked Prospero to free him and give him liberty. But then Prospero reminds him how he had freed Ariel from the clutches of Sycorax, the witch who lived on the island in which now Prospero is dwelling. And Sycorax had been initially the inhabitant of Argils, but she had been overthrown from there because she was practicing black magic. She had been banished from there. She was not killed because she was pregnant at that time. When she reached on this island and she controlled the spirits, among them Ariel was one of them. But since Ariel was very weak, he could not carry out the orders which Sycorax used to give. So she, you can say, enclosed him in the bark of the pine tree. For around 12 years, he was enclosed in that and was crying a lot with pain and suffering, but nobody was there to release him. When Prospero reached this island, he had opened the mouth of that bark of the pine tree and he had freed Ariel. And Ariel had promised him that whatever services he would ask him to do, Ariel would provide all the services to Prospero. So then Prospero gives him another order to Ariel that he should take the shape of a sea nymph. And then Prospero speaks something in his ear to do that task, for which Ariel said that the task will be done. Then we are introduced in this scene with Caliban also, which I have told in the previous lecture that Caliban, who was a son of that wicked Sycorax, he was the original inhabitant of this island. When Prospero had reached here, so Prospero had taught him to speak, and he taught him the name of the sun, the moon, and so on, due to which Caliban started loving him and showed him every part of the island, the freshwater springs, the oceans from where salt can be made when the water evaporates. But then Prospero had usurped this island, and Caliban was made to do his work. So Caliban started cursing Prospero for doing all this to him, for which Prospero had asked him that if he curses in this manner, then he will ask his spirits to pinch him in such a way that it would form depressions all over his body in the form of a honeycomb and so on. Now we are going to look further in this second part of the lecture. So when Caliban was cursing him that you had usurped this island from me, Prospero says, "Thou most lying slave, whom stripes may move, nor kindness, I have used thee, filth as thou art with human care, aborted slave, which any print of goodness wilt not take. Being capable of all ill, I pride thee, took pains to make thee speak, taught thee each hour one thing or the other, when thou didn't not savage. Know thine own meaning, but wouldn't gabble like a thing more brutish. I endowed thy purposes with words that made them known. But they wild race, though thou didst learn, had that intent which good natures could not able to be, with therefore wasn't thou deservedly confined into this rock, who hadst deserved more than a prison." So Prospero says that you are a rogue. A rogue means you are a wicked creature, and you deserve severe beating rather than kindness. It is useless to show you kindness, and it is better to beat you a lot, because it is you are a creature who doesn't deserve kindness of any sort. You are a hateful creature, and any act of kindness given to you is worthless. I took pains when I came here on this island to teach you one or the other thing whenever I was free. At each hour, I used to teach you either this or that, whatever good things were there. When I reached here, you used to speak gibberish language. Gibberish means having no meaning. I taught you how to speak meaningful words. And in the result of that, you have always shown cruel nature of yours. So such creatures of your race do not deserve any kind of kindness from the humans. So when you were a savage means you were untamed. You didn't know how to behave. You didn't know how to speak. At that time, I tamed you in such a way. But you people, the people of your race, do not deserve to be tamed by humans. So your race is such that no good man can adjust with you people. So for this reason only, I have imprisoned you in this rock and kept you as a pig in a sty. You deserve only this thing because of your manners. Then Caliban says, you taught me language, and my profit point is I know how to curse. The red plague rid you for learning your language. Then Caliban says, see, one advantage that I have got from you by learning your language is that I can only curse you. I know how to speak bad words in order to curse you. And I curse you that leprosy should attack you. You should suffer with leprosy. Red plague means leprosy, for teaching me such language. Then Prospero said, hag seed hence, fetch us in fuel and be quick. Thou art best to answer other business. Shruggest thou malice? If thou neglectest or dost unwillingly what I command, I'll rack thee with old cramps, fill all thy bones with aches, make thee roar, that beasts shall tremble at thy death. Prospero says, hag seed means you are the son of a witch. So he says, you son of a witch, you are now ordered to do a task. Go inside, bring out the woods for fuel, and do some other task also which I'll command you to do. You do not deserve anything good. Why do you shrug your shoulders towards my command? Is it just a contempt for me? You hate me. I'll try to torture you tonight with the cramps, muscle cramps, and I will fill all your bones with aches and pains. Throughout the night, you will be suffering. You will be groaning in pain throughout the night, and your groans will move the heart of the wildest beasts in the jungle. After that, Caliban says, "No, no, sir, please do not do this," because he was afraid of the magic of Prospero. He says, "No, pray thee, aside, I must obey his art if is of such power. It would control my damned god Setebos and make a vassal of him." So Caliban says, "I pray you, I request you, please do not do such type of things." And then he speaks to himself aside that I know that he has got such power that he can convert our Lord Setebos. Setebos is the lord of devil, the devil god. So he says that Prospero has got so much power that he can convert the devil god into his own servant also. So then Prospero says, "So whatever I say, do that. Go away now." Then Caliban exits. After that, Ariel re-enters. Ariel is invisible in the form of a sea nymph, as we have seen in the first lecture. He is singing and dancing and playing, and Ferdinand is following it. So Ariel sings a song in which he is saying like, "Come to these yellow sands and then join hands for dance." Okay, and why you have bowed before the wild waves and kissed them into silence. Dance away gracefully here and there and let the sweet spirits take up the refrain. That means, in a way, the song is saying that come on these yellow sands and join hands for dance and remove all your griefs. Do not mix them with the waves of the sea and try to mitigate the griefs. So then Ferdinand talks to himself, where should this music be? Either air or the earth. It sounds no more and sure it wears upon some god o'er the island. Sitting on a banks, weeping again the king, my father's wreck, this music crept by me upon the waters, allaying both the fury and my passion. With its sweet air, thence I follow it, or it hath drawn me rather, but 'tis gone. No, it begins again. So Ferdinand says, where must this music be coming from? This music is so sweet that it draws my attention towards it. When I was sitting beside the sea and was weeping over my father's loss, then this music had passed, it had surrounded me all over, and it was such a sweet music that it had, you can say, calmed down the waves of the sea, as well as it had, to some extent, remove some grief from my heart. It is so sweet a music as if it was a servant of any king. And the violence of my grief also has mitigated by it. From where has this music come? I have followed this music and I have been following it, but now I think the music has gone. But then again, Ariel starts singing, then Ferdinand says, yes, the music has begun again. This time Ariel sings in such a way that it reminds Ferdinand of his father. Because Ariel sings in such a way that your father is lying 6 feet below the waters, and his bones are like corals now, and his eyes are like pearls. And all of him that could decay had been changed drastically by the sea, and so on. So Ferdinand says that this song reminds me of my deceased father who has drowned into the sea. And this comes neither from a mortal nor from the earth. I hear it now above me. So he says that the music is somewhere above me. It is not from the earth or nor from anywhere from the sky, but it is just above me. Then Prospero, he asks Miranda that please pick up your eyelids and see in front of you who is there. Then Miranda says, what is it? is it a spirit, or it looks like something as a spirit, but it looks so handsome in appearance. But I think it is a spirit. But Prospero at that time says, no wench, it eats and sleeps and hath such senses as we have such. This gallant which thou seest was in the wreck, but he's something stained with grief, that's beauty's canker, thou mightest call him. A goodly person, he had lost his fellows and strays about to find them. So Prospero says that no, no girl. Wench means girl. So he says, no girl, it's not that. He's not a spirit. He can eat like you. He sleeps like you. And he has senses like you and me. And but this brave man actually is one of the members who had seen the shipwreck. And now he's desperate in finding them. He is moved with grief, and so his good looks have been marred because of the grief. He has lost his companions and he's searching them here and there. Miranda says, I might call him a thing divine, for nothing natural I ever saw so noble. So Miranda says, I would call him a divine person because I have never seen such a handsome man as he on this island. Prospero speaks to himself aside. It goes on, I see, as my soul prompts it. Spirit find spirit, I'll free thee within 2 days for this. Then Prospero, he speaks to himself aside and says, I see my plan is now progressing because I see now that how Miranda is being attracted towards Ferdinand. Then he speaks to Ariel, for Ariel that spirit, you have done a good job and I will surely free you after 2 days when my plan has been executed. Then Ferdinand speaks, most sure the goddess on whom these heirs attend, vouchsafe my prayer. May know if you remain upon this island, and that you will some good instructions give how I may bear me here my prime request, which I do last pronounce is, oh, you wonder if you be made or not. Ferdinand also sees Miranda and he is attracted towards her beauty. He says, surely she is the goddess of this island. And he asks Miranda, can you tell me, do you live on this island? Oh goddess, please grant me my prayer so that I may come to know if you live on this island. I request you to guide me how to go about this island and reach to my destination. So my main request to you is to tell me whether you are an unmarried girl or not. So that means Ferdinand is attracted towards her. First of all, he thinks that she is a goddess of this island. And so he says that, oh goddess, can you grant me a request if you tell me you live on this island and whether you are married or not? Miranda, I'm no wonder, sir, but certainly a maid. Miranda says, see, sir, there is, you do not have to wonder about because I am a maiden. I am not married. Then Ferdinand says, my language heavens, I am the best of them that speak this speech, for I but where it is spoken. Then Ferdinand is quite impressed by her language and he says that you speak the same way as I. So, good heavens, it is the best speech that I have ever heard from a girl like you. And I wish that I were in the country where this was spoken. Prospero, how the best? What wert thou if the king of Naples heard thee? Prospero says, how do you call yourself the best? Would you dare to say if the king of Naples were to hear you? So Prospero says that you are calling yourself to be the best person who can speak such a good language. So what would happen if the king of Naples hears you about this? Ferdinand, a single thing as I am now, that wonders to hear thee speak of Naples, he does hear me. And that he does, I weep myself am Naples, who with mine eyes never since or ever beheld the king my father in. Now Ferdinand here says, see, now I am a lonely person because the king of Naples, as we are speaking about, has drowned. He has, due to the shipwreck, drowned into the sea. And now I'm alone, wandering here and there. And since now I'm the only person who can speak such a royal language. Then Miranda says, alack for mercy. Then Miranda also shows mercy. She shows sympathy towards him and says that, alas, may God have mercy. Ferdinand, yes, Faith and all his lords, the Duke of Milan and his brave men being twain. Ferdinand says, yes, the King of Naples, that is my father, all his noblemen, even the Duke of Milan and all his servants, all have drowned. Then Prospero, the Duke of Milan and his more braver daughter could control thee. Then Prospero aside speaks to himself that the Duke of Milan and his beautiful daughter would challenge you. But now this is not the proper time to do it. At the first meeting, these two have fallen in love with each other. So Prospero, he speaks to himself that the Duke of Milan and his beautiful daughter can control you, and but now this is not the right time to introduce myself as a Duke of Milan. So he remains silent and he sees that both of them are falling in love. Delicate Ariel, I will set you free. For this, he was quite happy to see the work of Ariel, and he says that, Ariel, I'm quite happy to see that you have done a good job. Then to Ferdinand, he says, a word, good sir, I fear you have done yourself some wrong, a word. So Prospero speaks to Ferdinand, I want to speak to you, good sir. I am afraid that you have done wrong to yourself. Can I have a talk with you? Miranda, why speaks my father so urgently? This is the third man that I have ever saw. The first that I have ever sighed for pity move my father to be inclined my way. Miranda says, why does my father speak so urgently to him? I have seen now, including this man, I have seen three people in my life, three men in my life. The third man whom I have seen in my life, and he is the first with whom I have fallen in love. So she says that he is out of the three people, he is the first man whom I am very much attracted to, and I have fallen in love with him. Then she says that ever I sighed for pity move my father to be inclined my way. So she says, may pity move my father that he should not be an interruption between me and this man. And he should look at this man in such a way as I am looking at him. Then Ferdinand says, oh, if you are unmarried, if you are not in love with somebody, I will make you the Queen of Naples. Ferdinand says, I think now if I have come to know the truth and you are really not married, you are not in love with anybody else, I assure you I can make you the Queen of Naples. Then Prospero says, soft sir, one word more. They are both in either's powers, but this swift business I must uneasy make, lest too light winning make the prize light. One word more I charge thee, that thou attend me, thou dost here usurp the name thou owest not, and has put thyself upon this island as a spy, to win it from me, the Lord one. So here Prospero says, not so fast, sir. Why are you being so quick in order to make her the Queen of Naples? And he says that things should not be so fast. He talks to himself that things should not be so fast. I will not allow, I will try to put some obstacles in the path of both these lovers, and then I will test how true the love of Ferdinand is. Then he speaks to Ferdinand, one word more and I will charge you. I think you have deliberately usurped the throne of King of Naples, and now you are coming on this island in order to have a spy, and then you want to snatch this island also from me, of whom I am the ruler. So Ferdinand says, no, no, sir, I am an honest man. I am not a spy. Then Miranda says, there's nothing ill can dwell in such a temple. If the ill spirits have so fair a house, good things will strive to dwell with it. Miranda says, no, father, look at him. No evil thoughts can dwell in the heart of this person. This heart is called a temple by Miranda. She says that he has a good heart and no ill will can dwell in his heart. And if a devil finds a place in such a good heart, then all good things of the world would try to live in that heart. Prospero then says to Ferdinand, follow me and speak not you for him, he is a traitor. Prospero rebukes Miranda and says, don't speak a word for him, don't take his side. And he says to Ferdinand that come with me. Come and I will put chains all over you. I will tie your neck and your feet with chains, and I will give you only sea water to drink. I will give you food as mussels. Then I will give you dried roots, husks with acorn, and such things. You will have to eat only those things. Ferdinand says, no, I will resist such entertainment till my enemy has more power. Ferdinand says, I do not accept such type of punishment unless my opponent is more powerful than me. And then he draws out his sword in order to fight. Miranda says, oh dear father, make not too rash a trial of him, for he is gentle and not fearful. Miranda says, oh dear father, please do not be so much strict towards him. Do not be so much rude towards him. He is a good and a gentle person. Prospero, what I say, my foot, my name, my tutor, put thy sword up, traitor, who makes a show, but there is not a strike. Thy conscience is so possessed with guilt, come from thy word, for I can here disarm thee with this stick and make thy weapon drop. So Prospero says, do not teach me, do not be my tutor. He asks Miranda. And he says to Ferdinand that raise your sword. You can only raise your sword, but you cannot fight because you do not have that much strength and bravery. Your conscience pricks you from inside. You are guilty from inside. Because I have got such a power that with this powerful magic stick, I can disarm you. And even I can make your weapon drop. Miranda, beseech you, father. She then speaks, I request you, father, I request you, father. Prospero says, hands, hang not on my garments. Actually, she was pulling the garments of her father. Please, father, please, father. So Prospero says that do not try to pull my garments and stay away from here. Miranda, sir, have pity. I'll be his surety. Miranda says, please have pity on him. I'm the surety for him. I guarantee you that he's a good person. Then Prospero says, silence. One word more shall make me chide thee, if not hate thee. What an advocate for an impostor. Hush. Thou thinkest there is no much shaper as he, having seen but him and Caliban's foolish wench. To the most of men this is a Caliban, and they to him are angels. So then Prospero says, he's trying to say that be silent. If you speak one more word, I will chide you. Chide you means I will rebuke you, I will scold you. And what an advocate you are. You are trying to defend such an impostor person. Do you think that he is the only man in the whole world who can love you? There are other human beings also. He is just as hateful as Caliban. And other men as compared to him are angels. He is not fit for you. Then Miranda says, my affection are then most humble. I have no ambition to see a goodlier man. She says, then in that case, I must tell you, father, that my love is the most humble one, and I have no ambition to see any other better looking man than this man. Prospero, come on, obey thy nerves as in fancy again, and have no vigor in them. Prospero says, come with me. He tells to Ferdinand that come with me. You do not have any strength in your muscles. They are just like the muscles of a child. You have no energy left in yourself. Then Ferdinand says, yes, so they are. My spirits are in a dream, are all bound up. My father's loss, the weakness which I feel, the wreck of all my friends, nor this man's threats, to whom I am subdued, are but light to me. Might I but through my prison once a day behold this maid, all corners else o' the earth, let liberty make use of, is space enough have I in such a prison. Ferdinand says, yes, you are speaking a truth. Presently, I am not having that much strength because I am very much, you can say, perturbed because of the loss of my father. Then I have seen uh, the physical weakness because of the storm. I had to swim a lot and then I came here. The physical weakness, the loss of my companions, my father, then the type of behavior you are showing me, that you are trying to subdue me in front of you, all these are making me more weak. But I'm ready to be imprisoned on the condition that if through the prison I can see once in a day this beautiful lady, then I'm ready to accept all the imprisonment. Let the whole world be free. I do not mind. But for my imprisonment, I need only this much, that if I have an opportunity to see this lady once in a day, then I will accept the imprisonment. Prospero, it works. He says to himself, it works. To Ferdinand, come on. Thou hast done well, fine Ariel. Ferdinand, follow me. Hark, uh, what thou else shalt do. Then Prospero, he speaks to himself that, yes, my plan is working good. Then he says to Ferdinand, come with me. And then he speaks to Ariel also, I'll surely free you. One more task you have to do, which I'll assign you. So I'll tell you what else you have to do. Then Miranda, be of comfort, my father's of a better nature, sir. Then he appeared by speech. This is unwanted, which now came from him. Miranda then consoles Ferdinand and she says that be calm, dear gentleman, because my father is not of such a nature as he's showing you. He's a gentle person, and this type of behavior from my father is unusual, which is surprise to me also. Prospero, thou shalt be as free as mountain winds, but then exactly do all points of my command. Then Prospero speaks to Ariel that you will be as free as the winds are blowing here and there, but you will have to carry out some more orders which I give you, then only I'll make you free. Ariel, to the syllable. Ariel says to the smallest detail, whatever you order me, I'll do it. Prospero, come follow, speak not for him. Then Prospero says, come follow me and do not speak for him. Then both of them exit. So this way the scene has finished. So here in this second lecture, we have been introduced to Ferdinand, who has been brought to this part of the island by the song of Ariel. Ariel has been disguised in the form of a sea nymph. He is invisible, and Ferdinand is attracted towards its song. When he reaches to this part of the island, Miranda as well as Ferdinand are attracted to each other. And this is a plan of Prospero that both of them should fall in love with each other. But he doesn't want to show presently. He doesn't want to make haste of such relations. So he tries to put obstacles in their path. He is trying to rebuke Ferdinand that, and he is trying to blame him also that he is a spy who has come on this island in order to take this entire island from Prospero, of which Prospero is the king presently. But then Ferdinand denies that this is not the fact. And then Prospero asks Ferdinand that I will chain you up from the neck till feet, and I will give you only fresh water to drink, sea water to drink, and mussels and dried root weeds, as well as the husk with corn. All these you will have to eat. Initially, Ferdinand had denied, but then he accepted that I'll accept this imprisonment, provided that every day from that prison I am able to see this beautiful lady in front of me. And although Miranda had requested many times to her father that no, he is a good man and how can ill will be seated in his heart, but Prospero, he rebukes his daughter because he is outwardly showing it. Later on, it is his big plan in order to make them fall in love with each other. So here we have seen the scene. Hope you have understood the second lecture also. And if you like it, press the like button. And we'll come up with more scenes of Tempest, MOV, and stories and poems. Thank you.